After a bout of passion, Shen Xingwei handed me my underwear. Move your things out tomorrow. Don single quotes to come here again. I froze and instinctively asked, why? He lit a cigarette, his eyes holding a tenderness and longing I had never seen before. She's going back to her country. I know, she's Shen Xingwei's white moonlight. I left his life as he wished. But Shen Xingwei called me like a madman who allowed you to leave. Hours later, Shen Xingwei was panting heavily on top of me. He rolled off the bed and went to the bathroom to shower. When he came out, I was still lying in bed. Even after so much time has passed, I still can't get used to Shen Xingwei's incredible stamina. Shen Xingwei, while drying his short hair with a towel, casually picked up the underwear from the floor and handed it to me. Move your things out tomorrow. Don single quotes to come here anymore. I've been in this kind of relationship with Shen Xingwei for 3 years now. At first, I was just his secretary. After a certain cocktail party, we both drank too much, and naturally we ended up sleeping together. The first time he brought me here, he wouldn't let me stay the night. He said he wasn't used to having someone around when he slept and told me to go home by myself after we were done. But Shen Xingwei's needs in that regard were exceptionally strong. He started to develop a taste for it and began letting me stay the night. In front of outsiders, I was his most capable assistant, meticulously handling all sorts of matters for him. Privately, we were no different from any real couple. Whether it was birthdays or any other holiday, he would turn down all gatherings and meetings just to spend time alone with me. He was all seriousness and no smiles in public. But in front of me, he would act spoiled and show his emotions. I had already started to get used to this life, even beginning to fantasize about a further development with Shen Xingwei. Perhaps we could even start a family and truly have a home of our own. But now he's telling me not to come anymore. My fingers fumbling with my bra clasp froze, and I instinctively asked, are you going on a business trip? How come I didn't know? Shen Xingwei lit a cigarette and calmly interrupted me. She's going back to her country. The tenderness and longing in his eyes were something I had never seen before. I immediately realized she was Shen Xingwei's white moonlight. When he was most passionate, he would hold me and drunkenly call out a name. Later I would learn that she was the unattainable white moonlight of his affections. I couldn't stand the smell of smoke, my throat growing hoarse from the coughing. In a raspy voice I asked, is she moving in? Shen Xingwei's face was obscured by the smoke, but his voice remained gentle. I saw him shake his head. She's not like you. She's not that kind of casual girl. I was afraid that when she came to see me, she would overthink things if she saw your belongings. Really, she's incredibly pure. She wouldn't even let me kiss her, let alone double quotes let alone sleep with her. In my heart, I finished the sentence Shen Xingwei had left unspoken. Suppressing the sting in my eyes, I stood up and began to pick up the clothes from the floor, dressing myself. The dress had already been torn by him, so I found a pair of trousers in the wardrobe and put them on. Then, I started packing my things. There's no need to rush, let's leave tomorrow. Shen Xingwei walked over, burying his head in my neck. His tone still the usual spoiled one. I want to eat the beef noodles you cook. My movements of folding clothes froze instantly, and I said softly, okay, I'll make them for you. I turned on the stove, the water boiled, I added the noodles. And once they were cooked, I scooped them out and topped them with my braised and sliced beef. While Shen Xingwei was eating noodles, I continued to pack my things. I had lived here for 3 years, and when it was time to move out, all my belongings fit into just one suitcase. Most of it was my personal clothing. After moving in, I didn't take a single item of the daily necessities or pots and pans I had bought for him. As I walked into the living room pulling my suitcase, Shen Xingwei pointed to the cabinet. Don't you really like that set of tableware? I followed his gaze and saw a set of pure white dishes. He had taken me to the supermarket to buy them when I first moved in. At the time, I was still hesitating whether to buy them, worried they would take up too much space. Shen Xingwei without a word put the tableware into the shopping cart, smiling indulgently. If you like it, buy it. I shook my head. There's no more room in the boxes. As we were about to leave, Shen Xingwei called out to me. The noodles in the bowl were finished. He lowered his head, lit a cigarette, and exhaled a plume of smoke. At the company, we'll maintain our normal superior-subordinate relationship," he said, looking at me with deep eyes. "Privately, if you ever need anything, you can still come to me." I understood what he meant and nodded. "Okay." I picked up my suitcase and went out to hail a taxi, returning alone to my rented room. It was already 2 in the morning, too late to call someone over to clean. I tidied up a clean spot and decided to sleep first. I was utterly exhausted. The moment my head hit the pillow, I fell asleep. Strangely, I kept dreaming about the time I first met Shen Xingwei. Back then, he was the unattainable head of the Shen Corporation, and I was just one of his many assistants. My first encounter with him was at a cocktail party. My assistant had a last-minute emergency and asked me to accompany Shen Xing to the party. After a few rounds of drinks, a business partner suddenly confronted me. The portly man grinned at me with a lecherous expression. "Miss Su, not drinking means you're not giving me, Wang, any face." At that time, I didn't know how to handle such a situation and just stood there. "I'm sorry, I'm allergic to alcohol. The partner's face immediately darkened. Seeing the entire private room fall silent, I tremblingly raised my wine glass ready to down it in one gulp. I thought to myself, the worst that could happen is a trip to the hospital. The wine glass was intercepted halfway by a hand with distinct knuckles. Shen Xinghui's profile was half hidden in shadow, and he said with a half smile, "Manager Wang, why make things difficult for a young girl? I'll drink this glass for her." I stared blankly as he downed drink after drink offered by people across from him, watching his cheeks flush and his eyes glisten with unshed tears. Later I learned that Shen Xingwei had just taken over the group at that time, and many people wanted to pull him down from his position. From then on I began to learn how to handle such occasions. After the chief assistant resigned, Shen Xingwei promoted me to become his personal secretary, managing every aspect of his life and work, all under my care. The first night we became intimate. He was drunk and in his stupor called out a name with a tone full of sorrow and grievance. My heart immediately softened, and I couldn't help but step forward and embrace him. And so, everything that followed happened naturally. It wasn't until much later that I realized it was He Shinran's birthday that day. The next day was Saturday, and I was woken up by Shen Xingwei's phone call early in the morning. "Come to my place and pick me up to go to the airport." He hung up the phone before I could answer. I didn't sleep well last night. When I woke up, my pillowcase was soaked. I rubbed my throbbing temples, and after washing up, I left the house. I hailed a car to his place. Shen Xingwei detests people who are late. On the way, I first called a cleaning lady to come to my house, and then I received a call from home. My mother chattered on the phone for a long time, and finally she asked me cautiously, "Yi, are you coming home for Chinese New Year this year?" Her aged voice was laced with anticipation, and I couldn't help but feel a prickle in my nose. "Mom, I'll be home next week." My mother sounded a little disbelieving. "Really? For the past 3 years I've spent Lunar New Year with Shen Xingwei at his home." My mom's surprise was understandable. I nodded vigorously, my throat tight. "Mom, I want to go back to my hometown." After hanging up the phone, I submitted my resignation on DingTalk. I got into that familiar black Dior, and he sat in the back. The car drove calmly towards the airport, silent the whole way. As we neared our destination, a voice suddenly came from the back seat. "You left a set of clothes at my place." It was the couple's outfit I bought for Valentine's Day this year. I wore the women's version that day, and Shen Xingwei wore the men's. We had a wild time playing outside all day, as if we were a real couple. For one day I briefly had him. I took a deep breath, my tone even. "You helped me throw it away." Shen Xingwei fell silent. Soon He Shinran was embraced by Shen Xingwei and got into the car. Her fluffy white coat was paired with a chiffon dress, her eyes large and incredibly pure and lovely. No wonder she was Shen Xingwei's unforgettable white moonlight. He Shinran, linking arms with Shen Xingwei, stuck out her tongue at me. "Sister, could you please help me with my suitcase?" Shen Xingwei acted as if she hadn't heard. I glanced at her and got out of the car without a word. I knew girls had a lot of things, but I hadn't expected He Shinran to bring back 5 large suitcases in one go. I used all my strength to move them into the trunk, my hands already trembling and aching. The moment I got in the car, the lively chatter from the back immediately died down. Shen Xingui took out his cigarette case. He had already picked up a cigarette, but then, as if thinking of something, he put it back. The next second, I heard his Xinran's jiaoqi, delicate, spoiled voice from behind me. Brother Xingwei, you haven't quit smoking yet? I really hate the smell of smoke. Shen Xingwei immediately put the cigarette pack back and ruffled her hair. Young Shuo and the others have booked a place to welcome you back to the country. Do you want to go? Of course. He Shinran nodded, then her eyes widened as she looked at me. Sister, why don't you come too? It'll be more lively with an extra person. I pursed my lips wanting to refuse. Shen Xingwei spoke. Shinran finally returned to the country. Don't spoil the mood. In the end I still went. As soon as they saw Shen Xingwei and he Shinran, Shen Xingwei's friends immediately gathered around. Yang Shuo and the others started to tease. Sister-in-law, you're finally back in the country. In the years you were gone, Brother Shen was practically waiting for you to return. Haha, you're back for the wedding, aren't you? When's the wedding? I'll definitely be there and I'll bring a big red envelope. He Shinran buried her face in Shen Xingwei's chest, a blush spreading across her cheeks. Shen Xingwei chuckled and swore playfully, get lost. Don't scare your sister-in-law, and of course you won't be left out when good things happen. The two of them entered the private room amidst the cheers of the crowd. Yang Shuo's face paled slightly when he saw me behind them. Secretary Su. Secretary Su is here too? Come, please come in. He Shinran, perhaps sensing the subtle dynamic between Shen Xingwei and me, was a bit passive-aggressive throughout the meal. Yang Shuo poured He Shinran a glass of fruit wine and said with a smile, Sister-in-law, you're back in the country today, you have to give me some face. Let's have a toast. Shen Xingwei intercepted the wine. Don't you know your sister-in-law is allergic to alcohol? Yang Shuo rubbed the back of his head, looking puzzled. He Shinran's face was grim. I'm not allergic to alcohol. Shen Xingwei paused, the hand holding his wine glass. Is that so? I must have remembered incorrectly. He Shinran turned her head and saw the juice in my glass, her expression darkening further. Why isn't Sister Su drinking? She asked, raising her wine glass and tilting her head, her eyes full of malice. Could it be that you don't welcome me? I glanced at Shen Xingwei. He was looking directly at me, his thin lips parting slightly. Su Yi, just have one drink, don't spoil everyone's fun. I took a deep breath, picked up the red wine glass in front of me, and downed it in one gulp. The private room immediately erupted in cheers. Soon a rash began to spread across my body, covering my neck in a dense pattern. Someone saw it and immediately exclaimed, Ah, you're having an allergic reaction. Shen Xingwei casually looked up, his tone indifferent. It's fine, I'm not going to die from it. The meal stretched on, and as the alcohol flowed, Shen Xingwei's friend remarked, in the end it's still Brother Shen who's the most devoted. Shinran left so decisively, and yet you waited 3 years for her. Yang Shuo, also quite drunk, let out a belch and slung an arm over Shen Xingwei's shoulder. I really thought you and Su Yi were going to make it. You two were so close these past 3 years. He Shinran stared at me, her eyes filled with undisguised malice. Besides being Brother Xingwei's secretary, does Sister Su have any other identities I don't know about? Shen Xingwei raised an eyebrow. Su Yi, you tell me, what is our relationship? I burst out laughing, as if I'd heard something incredibly amusing. Miss He, please don't overthink it. Mr. Shen and I. We just have a boss-employee relationship. After the dinner party, Shen Xingwei was already a bit drunk. When he was disoriented, he instinctively grabbed my arm, his tone softening. Su Yi, will you take me home? He leaned against my shoulder, an unprecedented attachment, burying his head in my neck and nuzzling, like a kitten playfully seeking affection from its owner. Do you really think we're just Do you know I didn't hear the rest of his words. The next second, Shen Xingwei was pulled back. He Shinran, like a competitive rooster, supported Shen Xingwei, and said with a sharp tone, Sister Su, since you are a subordinate, it's better to stay away from a leader who already has a fiancé, so as not to be gossiped about by outsiders. What do you think? I nodded expressionlessly. You are right. For a week I hadn't had any private contact with Shen Xingwei, except for work-related interactions. The OA approval for my resignation letter was swift, with the final sign-off requiring Shen Xinghui's signature. I printed a hard copy and walked into Shen Xinghui's office, placing the resignation letter before him. He was on the phone, his tone exceptionally gentle. Shen Xinghui signed his name with a few strokes, not even glancing at it. I turned to leave, but he called me back. I'm going to propose to Shinran tonight. You'll leave work early this afternoon to set up the venue. Shen Xinghui leaned back in his leather seat and gave the order in a low voice. I nodded, indicating I understood, and asked him, "Is there anything else?" He stared at me intently, as if trying to discern some other emotion on my face. But in the end he just turned his head away. I left work an hour early and went to the address Shen Xinghui had given me. After 3 years together, I knew his preferences like the back of my hand. Yet I never expected that the last thing I would do for him would be to set up his proposal scene. I closed my eyes, trying to blink away the ache and the sting of tears. After an hour, I finished setting up the proposal scene. I had intended to leave immediately, but then I saw He Shinran. The moment she saw me, she acted exceptionally surprised, as if she had completely forgotten our unpleasant parting last time. She affectionately linked her arm through mine, acting like a close friend. "Sister Sue, it's good you're here. I need to put on my dress first. Could you help me?" I had no reason to refuse and agreed. I followed He Shinran to the fitting room, where she changed into the gown that Shen Xinghui had asked me to pick up from the bridal shop. Dazzling and eye-catching. I remember when this dress first came out. I couldn't put the magazine down. I loved it so much. When Shen Xinghui saw it, he said, "You like it that much? I'll buy it for you." Unexpectedly, in just half a year, this dress appeared on He Shinran. "Sister Sue, does it look good?" He Shinran's skin was very fair, and wearing this dress, she seemed to glow. Very beautiful. He Shinran lifted the hem of her skirt and gracefully walked towards me, a smile on her lips. "It's a shame really. Beautiful things are always coveted. After being with Xinghui for 3 years, did you really think he would stay with you? It's such a pity. Xinghui still can't forget me. Your 3 years were all for nothing." I was taken aback. So she knew everything. But I quickly regained my composure. My relationship with Shen Xinghui was a willing exchange, a mutual commitment. There was no third party interfering. He Shinran's pretense of a wronged wife catching a mistress was truly laughable. Once I understood, my back straightened. I looked at her, a half-smile playing on my lips, and said, "How can a relationship where both parties are willing be called a wasted effort?" For the past 3 years, with Shen Xinghui as a free bed warmer who's good in shape and has good stamina, it's not certain who's really at a disadvantage. He Shinran's eyes instantly welled up with blood, and she raised her hand to slap me. "Bitch, shameless bitch." I easily blocked her, twisting her arm behind her back. "Can't win an argument, so you resort to violence? Who taught you that?" He Shinran violently shook off my hand, a knowing smile playing on her lips. "You tell me. When Xinghui comes back, will she believe you or me?" I hadn't even processed what she meant. He Shinran, from who knows where, produced a pair of scissors and violently cut and tore her dress, all while crying out aggrievedly, "Sister Sue, even if I offended you, you can't do this to me." I froze for a moment, then immediately understood that this was a play she had directed and acted in herself. He Shinran tore her dress, threw the scissors on the ground, raised her hand and slapped herself, then covered her face with a look of panic. "Help, Sister Sue, please don't do this to me." I walked forward, stepped on the hem of her dress, and slapped her. A pleasant slap echoed. He Shinran didn't react at all, looking up in disbelief. "You hit me? How dare you hit me?" I nodded appreciatively. "That's more like it. Your reaction just now was a bit over the top." He Shinran covered her face, backing away repeatedly, afraid I'd hit her again. She didn't forget to shout behind me, "Xinghui, help me!" A series of anxious footsteps sounded from behind, followed by Shen Xinghui's roar, "Su Yi, what are you doing?" He Shinran, her dress in tatters, was trying to sidle up to Shen Xinghui. I stepped forward, stomped on the hem of her skirt, grabbed her hair and slapped her face back and forth twice. Her face was already swollen high. He Shinran finally burst into tears, her appearance rain-washed like pear blossoms, truly evoking pity. Shen Xingwei completely lost it. Su Yi, don't you know what day it is today? What are you throwing a tantrum about here? He gripped my wrist bone, his face so dark it looked like it could drip water. Apologize to Shinran now. Why should I apologize? I didn't do anything wrong. I forcefully shook Shen Xingwei's hand away. Still fuming, I grabbed Shinran, who was sobbing uncontrollably, and slapped her twice. Then I violently ripped off her dress. Didn't you want to tear it up? I'll help you. With the flimsy covering ripped from her body, Shinran shrieked in terror. A large crowd had gathered outside, leaving her nowhere to hide. Shen Xingwei grabbed my hand in anger and slapped me. Have you had enough? On what grounds are you here beating up Shinran? You're just my subordinate. Who do you think you are? I'll say it again. Apologize. Shen Xingwei hadn't spoken to me in such a cold, sharp tone for a long time. Tears welled up in my eyes, and I fought to keep them from falling. I forced the tears back and aimed a kick at Shen Xingwei's shinbone. I apologize to your mother. I pushed through the crowd and ran out with all my might. I contacted the person in charge of the venue, and had them pull up the security footage from the dressing room, which I then projected onto the large screen in the hall. I packed my things overnight and booked a flight back to my hometown. Before boarding, I took one last look at my phone. Shen Xingwei had posted something on his moments. It was Shinran's hand, adorned with a ring, the caption concise. Mrs. Shen, hello. I blocked him and then set off on my way home. I hadn't come home for Chinese New Year in 3 years, all to accompany Shen Xingwei. My parents were overjoyed to see me. A pang of bittersweetness welled up inside me. To be loved felt like having a strong support. I bought new clothes for the Lunar New Year for my parents, and took them to town to get festive supplies, making our home exceptionally lively. The Lunar New Year atmosphere in the small county town was already palpable, with lanterns and decorations everywhere, and everyone's face beaming with joy. Perhaps it was the infectious atmosphere, but I too felt genuinely relaxed and happy from the bottom of my heart. It's completely different from the New Year in Shenzhen. In previous years, Shenzhen would already be quiet and deserted at this time. Even though the city was decorated in vibrant red, it still felt like something was missing, that New Year's spirit. During this time, Shen Xingwei sent me quite a few verification messages. How come I didn't know you resigned? Who allowed you to resign? Shinran was impulsive that day, but she meant no harm. Don't be so petty. I forgive you. Reply when you see this. I didn't accept his verification request and he called me many times, but I didn't answer any of them. After a while he probably got bored, and I didn't receive any more messages from him. But on New Year's Eve I received a strange phone call. At first, there was no sound from the other end, and I thought it was a wrong number about to hang up. Shen Xingwei's somewhat anxious voice came from the other end of the line. Don't hang up. It's me. I gripped the phone, took a deep breath, and tried to keep my voice calm. Is something wrong? I heard you went back to your hometown for the New Year. Shen Xingwei's voice was a little low, as if he was suppressing something. I suddenly remembered the first time I spent Chinese New Year with him in Shanghai. At that time, I was already on my way home when I received his call. His voice was hoarse, as if he had just woken up from a hangover. Why didn't I see you? I went back to my hometown for Chinese New Year. I told you in advance. After a long silence, a self-deprecating laugh came from the other end. It's almost Lunar New Year, and I'd forgotten. It was only later that I learned Shen Xingwei was the illegitimate son of old Master Shen, and he was only recognized by the family after his mother's death. That year he vied for control of the conglomerate with the legitimate son, working non-stop for half a year before he could barely secure his position. Have a good New Year, I'm hanging up now. After saying this, he hung up the phone. His mother had died, and he had a rather unpleasant falling out with that family over the company. He probably had no one to spend the New Year with. That New Year's Eve I video called him. It took a long time for him to answer. He was probably drunk, his eyes glistening. He was drinking alone on the balcony, while fireworks exploded in vast bursts outside the window. Yet it only made him seem more solitary. When he was drunk he became very clingy, his tone exceptionally soft. He'd tilt his head as he spoke to me, looking just like a child. Happy New Year, Su Yi. In that instant, I felt an overwhelming surge of tenderness for him, my heart aching with a soft, poignant ache. Happy New Year. He held up his phone, his voice laced with a profound sense of grievance, like a child abandoned by adults. It's so lonely at home without you. Please come back soon. I miss you so much. In that moment, I wished I could fly back and be by his side. In fact, I did just that. I didn't have time to say much to my parents, only that there was an urgent matter at work and I had to return immediately. I bought the soonest flight and flew back to Shenzhen overnight. At dawn, I took a taxi from the airport to Shen Xingwei's place. I knocked on his door, and when he saw me, he was overjoyed. How did you? I held up the various hot pot ingredients I'd bought from the supermarket, and said with a smile, I'm here to spend the new year with you. Hurry up and let me in. I'm so heavy. That night he was particularly excited and took me several times. In the end, when he finished, he held me very tightly, panting, and whispered in my ear, Will you spend every new year with me from now on? I hugged his incredibly lean waist back and nodded vigorously. I didn't expect him to remember me this year, with He Shinran by his side. I collected myself, my voice as steady as I could make it. Yes, it's been several years since I came home for Chinese New Year. He paused, then asked, Will you come back after the new year? Before I could answer, I vaguely heard a woman's voice from the other end. Xingwei, help me get my clothes, I forgot them. Shen Xingwei hurriedly said, I have other things to attend to. The line on the other end buzzed with static. Fireworks exploded outside the window, a brilliant spectacle against the night sky. Seeing me standing by the window, lost in thought, Mom called me over to eat some fruit. The Spring Festival Gala is getting more and more boring. Watching the skits on TV that nagged about marriage and childbirth. My mom glanced at my expression. The daughter of Aunt Jang next door is already having her second grandson this year. When are you going to bring a boyfriend home? Seeing that I didn't retort, my mom took out her phone as she spoke. Look at your aunt's colleague's son. He's so handsome and well built. He has a car and a house. Why don't you meet him a couple of times while you're still home? This time, I didn't refuse. Perhaps I shouldn't hold on to unrealistic fantasies anymore. It's time for me to settle down. Okay, let's arrange a time to meet. My mom was overjoyed and quickly went to the side to make a phone call. On the third day of the Lunar New Year, as per my mother's arrangements, I met the prospective groom. He worked in Shanghai, his family was well off, and he was quite handsome. He extended his hand to me, his eyes bright. Hello, my name is Joe Lee. We both took a good impression of each other, and our parents were even more pleased. But I never expected Shen Xingwei to suddenly appear and interrupt this blind date. He casually sat down next to me, and Joe Lee, somewhat flustered, asked me, And who is this? I'm her boss, I corrected him with barely contained impatience. Former leader, I've already resigned. Su Yi, I do not agree with your resignation. Shen Xingwei's eyes were fixed on me, unwavering. Joe Lee looked from me to him, clearly aware of our unusual relationship. He smiled politely. I'll have Shinran apologize to you. Can you forgive her and forgive me too. I'm done with her. I always thought I couldn't forget her, but actually I. After Joe Lee left, Shen Xingwei placed his hands on my shoulders. Speaking somewhat incoherently, as if trying to prove something, I interrupted him, my tone cold, as if addressing a stranger. Shen Xingwei, we just have a normal relationship as leader and subordinate. Don't complicate things. You're already engaged to Hexinran. Stop lingering. It's better for both of us. He wanted to say more, but I didn't want to listen. I got up briskly. Let's leave it at that. Don't contact me again. Lingering will only make me more disgusted. Shen Xingwei grabbed my hand, his tone a little humble. Su Yi, I'm sorry. I misunderstood you that day. I've already gotten used to a life with you. Will you forgive me? His eyes were bloodshot, and for some reason he gritted his teeth. He Shinran lied to me. She's already married abroad. She only came back this time to scam me out of my money. I shook his hand off, my tone cold. I really don't want to know about your private life. It has nothing to do with me. Shen Xingwei pulled out a ring and knelt before me on one knee. I'm serious about you, Yi. I was an idiot before. I didn't know how to cherish you. Now I've truly come to my senses. Let's get married in Bali, your favorite place. His tone was tinged with hope, and he lowered himself as much as possible, as if that would truly make me change my mind. I slapped the ring out of his hand. Shen Qinghui, you really make me miserable like this. I have no feelings for you at all. All I want now is to live my own life. I beg you, stop bothering me. You, like this, only make me feel disgusted. After speaking, I didn't wait for Shen Qinghui to react and turned to leave. I blocked his phone number too, not wanting to receive any more messages about him. That day, I left decisively, leaving no room for anything else. Years later, my relationship with Jolie had also gradually settled into a steady rhythm, reaching the point where we were discussing marriage. I hadn't seen Shen Qinghui in over half a year. It was strange, really. The person I once thought I'd spend my life with now seemed ordinary. The next time I heard about him was from a former colleague. I heard Mr. Shen canceled his wedding with He Shinran. They were already preparing to get married, but I don't know why. Honestly, we all thought you and Mr. Shen would end up together. After all, the way he looked at you was really something else. I smiled, my heart completely unmoved. Really? We were just in a superior-subordinate relationship. Another half-year passed, and it was suddenly the end of the year. This past year, I used all my savings to open a flower shop in the county town, and business has been quite good. Life has been passing by uneventfully. I've been by my parents' side, and the days have been peaceful. I'm very content with this kind of life. At the end of the year, Jolie asked if I could accompany him to a summit, and after some thought, I agreed. I just didn't expect to run into Shen Qinghui here. After a year apart, he had become much thinner. The aura around him had settled. The youthful immaturity long gone, replaced by a more composed and self-possessed demeanor. Seeing me, he walked over and greeted me. Long time no see. I greeted him and waved towards Jolie in the distance. Shen Qinghui followed my gaze, his expression darkening. His voice hoarse. I thought you weren't serious about him. My smile remained unchanged. I never play games with relationships. I'm always serious about them. Shen Qinghui could no longer maintain his calm facade, a hint of urgency in his voice. I thought giving you a year would be enough for you to come around. It was my fault back then. The truth is, I've always liked you. I interrupted him, raising my hand to show him the diamond ring on my finger. I'm getting married. Shen Qinghui felt like he was about to break down. He shouted, Impossible. You were so happy when you were with me, how could you possibly. His commotion was so loud that people nearby were instantly drawn to him. Even Jolie walked over, stood beside me, and asked in a low voice what had happened. Before I could speak, Shen Qinghui swung his fist and smashed it towards Jolie's face. I immediately screamed out, Shen Qinghui, you're crazy! I quickly stood in front of Jolie, nervously checking his injuries. Fortunately, he wasn't seriously hurt. I grabbed Jolie and turned to leave. Shen Qinghui didn't chase after us, and I didn't look back. The summit proceeded smoothly. I didn't see Shen Qinghui again in the latter half. After the summit concluded, I called for a designated driver and got into the car with Jolie. Shen Qinghui chased after us, his eyes were red-rimmed. His voice hoarse, and he blocked my hand as I was closing the car door. Can you really not forgive me? Just as I was about to speak, Jolie took out an invitation and handed it to Shen Qinghui. Welcome, Mr. Shen, to our wedding. The car drove smoothly down the road. In the rearview mirror, Shen Qinghui, holding the invitation in his arms, slowly bent down. I withdrew my gaze and met Jolie's concerned eyes. I took his hand. It's all in the past now. He clasped my hand back. Well, it's all in the past now. Life is long, and Shen Qinghui is merely a passerby in my life. My future lies in tomorrow. Extra story, Shen Qinghui's perspective. Yang Shuo and the others say I'm deeply devoted, waiting for Shinran for 3 years. Honestly, I'm not even sure myself if I still love Shinran. Waiting for her has simply become a habit. It seems that slowly, the face in the depths of my heart has taken on the appearance of someone else. When I was with Shinran, my mind would always wander, and I couldn't help but wonder what Su Yi was feeling right now. Would she be jealous? If she were jealous, would it prove she had feelings for me? So I waited for the day she would confront me. If she had only asked me, I would have been with her. But I didn't wait. I wanted to provoke her a little more, hoping she might then see her heart clearly. So I asked her to help me set up the proposal scene. I wanted to see another emotion in his eyes, but unfortunately, I saw nothing at all. I didn't expect her to lash out at Shinran so fiercely, and a part of me felt a secret delight. Suyi still has feelings for me. As long as she apologizes, I will forgive her. We can go back to how things were before. It's just that I didn't expect that instead of receiving Suyi's confession, she went back to her hometown. Let her go. When she figures it out, she'd come back to find me on her own. But I never received that apology message, so I panicked and messaged her first. To my surprise, she had blocked me. I had no choice but to humble myself to her, but she ignored me. The phone wouldn't connect either, and I thought, this won't do. So I tried another number to call her, just to hear her voice. It was the first time she'd spent the new year away from me. Felt an emptiness deep inside, as if something was starting to slip out of my control. I accidentally saw Shinran's chat messages and realized she had already gotten married abroad. Everything she had told me was a lie. But instead of feeling angry, I felt relieved. I thought, now I have a reason to go see Suyi. If I explain in person, she'll surely forgive me. I didn't expect that she was already going on blind dates with other people. I was completely panicked then. I couldn't think of anything else, only that I wanted her back. So I proposed to her, saying many things, just hoping she would forgive me. She turned and left without a second thought. I thought to myself, I'll give her some more time. She'd come back to me. I hadn't expected to wait for a whole year. When I saw her again, she told me she was getting married. Only then did I start to feel a sense of dread and despair, realizing that I was truly going to lose Suyi. It turned out that nothing could ever go back to the way it was. All I hoped was that Suyi would soften her heart, that she would turn back. In the end, I chased after her, only to receive her wedding invitation, Zhou Li and Suyi. Her name next to others was glaringly conspicuous. It was only at this moment that I truly understood. I had utterly and completely lost Suyi. Later in my dreams I saw Suyi more than once. I begged her to turn back and I said I'm sorry countless times. But she never once looked at me, and slowly disappeared from my sight with another person.